She's come all the way from Australia. It's the MP Moira Deeming. Thank you for coming. Now, Moira, a lot of people over here won't have heard of what happened to you in Australia, but it is quite shocking. Do you want to start at the beginning?
I decided to attend a rally that Kellie J Keane was running in my home state of Victoria, and I was very excited that she was coming, and so I attended on the day. I helped with a little bit of organisation, and on the day I read out a speech from one of my Muslim constituents, and then the event ended. We all went and had champagne together. It was a great night. It was actually one of the funnest nights of my whole life. I did karaoke for the first time.
What song did you do?
All of them.
All the songs.
And, but then I got called into, HQ with the 4 party leaders, and I was asked a very odd question, do you know any Nazis? No, not that I'm aware of. And, it was a repeated question, and then it turned into, why are you advocating for fringe issues? If you're advocating for fringe issues, you need to be an independent MP. And I said, with all due respect, I disagree. I was pre-selected and elected into this party on those very issues. I don't think I do need to be an independent. And I was told that I could advocate for these issues if I did so respectfully. And in 20 years, no one's ever been able to find a single actual quote in context where I have been disrespectful. And then, I thought they were actually aligning me with the actual Nazis, because there were some actual Nazis that turned up on the steps pretty far away from us. And, but I eventually realised through the course of the conversation that they were accusing Kellie J Keane and a Jewish woman and another Liberal Party member of being Nazis. And the moment that I realised that that was what they were talking about was when they said that, you went out drinking champagne with Nazis,
Wow.
which was our celebration. And I thought, you're not actually talking about the Nazis, you're talking about these 3 women who, along with me, there's this correlation between the fact that we advocate for sex-based rights.
Unbelievable. Karaoke with Nazis. It's absolutely despicable.
And champagne.
And champagne.
So insensitive.
That's appalling. So this is utterly bizarre. So I suppose we should clarify, your party is the Liberal Party.
That's right, the centre-right party.
Centre-right, so sort of the equivalent of the Conservatives, if you like, on some issues.
Some people in the party would, vomit at that word, but yes.
Yeah, OK, fine. And the event was Let Women Speak, and the idea is it's about women's rights. It's about hearing women and their stories and their concerns about single-sex spaces and that kind of thing. And at that event, some neo-Nazis had turned up to cause trouble.
Sorry, they were not part of our event.
But they were not part of your event.
They turned up on the street about 15, 20 metres away.
Yes. And activists, rather opportunistically, took the opportunity to say they're all one and the same, which is unbelievable, really, because, of course, as far as I don't know any neo-Nazis either, but I know that they're not that in favour of women's rights.
Do you know Kellie J Keane? Because I'm afraid to tell you that, according to certain people in my state, you do.
Well, that's it. I find this astonishing. People being online are used to the word Nazi being thrown about all over the place. But this is so egregious and so ridiculous. What I want to know is, how is it the case that a major political party can fall for that online rhetoric,
Apparently it's the fault of Wikipedia. So I was presented with a dossier because, of course, I asked for evidence too in that meeting. Yeah. At first I thought, oh no, how have I missed this? Perhaps I have associated with Nazis. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. And I said, well, can I please see the evidence? And the answer was no. It's very easy to find. It's online in 10 minutes. It's, there's no way that they believed me that I wouldn't have known. And eventually, when I was shown that dossier, it was referencing Wikipedia, which as a high school English teacher, I found equal measures of hilarious and outrageous.
But that's one of the activist tactics, is to modify Wikipedia in according to how they would like the world to be rather than how it actually is.
Like for a long time, my Wikipedia page said that I had, 4 children and 5 children and, a fleet of luxury cars, and I don't know, they just got all these things wrong, which was hilarious. They actually changed John Pseudo's webpage to say that he was the equivalent of a Nazi associate because he had associated with me and then Kellie J Keane. What he did to me was I was guilty by association, by association. It was like 3 or 4 times removed.
So you're sort of Nazi adjacent and he's proxy Nazi adjacent.
That's right.
So it's contagion.
Yes, that's right.
So this is fascinating to me. So what happened then? So you're called in, they say we're concerned about you associating with people who we perceive to be Nazis or that activists have told us are Nazis. What happened to you and your status in the party at that point?
Well, the end of the meeting was, I said, look, what is the end of this meeting? You know, I'd like to go home, I'm exhausted. And they said, well, we would like, if you don't denounce them, you know, you've shown us that you can't be rehabilitated, that you've even challenged the idea, that you even challenged the idea of denouncing people, which, by the way, you know, they had said no to seeing the evidence. And they said, look, we're going to put forward a motion to expel you, or you can make it easier on us all and just quit. And I said, oh, no, thank you. And I just got up and left.
And then they expelled you?
And then they moved a motion to expel me. It took them 2 tries to expel me.
Yes.
The first time I agreed to a suspension to save the leader, if only he would exonerate me and the other women from all of these claims. My contention is that he agreed to that because there was one thing that I was never ever going to agree to, which is not having my name exonerated, because I have 4 children. I'm not having the slur of Nazism attached to my name, my family name, and have my children be treated the way that I have now been treated. And as far as, from my perspective, is that, you know, that was never, I did my part of the deal. I sat on the crossbench and I never got my other half of the deal. And then they expelled me again when I said that I would like to bring in a lawyer to redo the meeting to make sure that everything's written properly and have it done. So look, I'm now in the position where I have to sue my leader for defamation.
That's absolutely astonishing. People are going to be very surprised hearing that, because they associate these kind of tactics, as in smearing people who are not Nazis as Nazis, they associate that with the left more often. And we have a party here, a centre-right party, going along with it. How is it that this sort of ideology has infected the right as well as the left, do you think?
Well, so there's 2 things. There's an incredible lack of conviction. So I actually sometimes wonder whether the people inside the party actually believe the values that are written in our party's constitution and our party platform. I actually come from the left and, you know, have ended up on the right because I've been thinking these things through, and so I found it very surprising when I'd be talking to people and they couldn't articulate our own set of values, and what they were saying was actually, I thought, no, you belong in the other party. And the other thing is just cowardice. So I heard all the time, you know, yeah, I agree with you, Moira. I agree with you in private.
Yeah.
I know about Leah Thomas. I agree with you. And I'm like, I'm not grateful, okay? And neither are all the women and the children and you know, the LGBT community. When they find out you threw me under the bus, knowing full well that 1, I have nothing to do with Nazis, 2, neither did those women, and 3, that you knew and disagreed with these laws, same as me, and you let me be your human shield.
Yeah, that's a major problem, isn't it? People just not speaking out.
Yeah.
I mean, what were you there to speak about at the event? What was the message you were trying to get across?
That, you know, transgender ideology inserted into law is extreme and it's anti-democratic, and it cannot be our answer to people who have this philosophy of transgenderism or they have gender dysphoria. We can have sympathy, we can make accommodations, but you cannot remove child safeguards, you cannot remove sex-based rights. The other mistake that they made was that they just didn't get to know me. So I have conviction. You know, the reason why I'm against these things is not because I'm a bigot, it's because I am a survivor of rape. I am a mother of children, of 4 children. I have 3 daughters. I'm a teacher. I know what child safeguarding is. I know how important it is. And, you know, and I came from the left to the right. I really value reasonable freedom of speech, reasonable freedom of association, all those kinds of things. And due process, that would have been nice. You know, this cannot be our answer to this issue. It's too extreme. That's not fair. That's not balancing rights.
So what will it take? Because to call someone a Nazi, I mean, that strikes me as outright libelous. Has this been tested? Because it feels as though activists are able to do this with impunity.
Well, I think there's something different about my case which is going to allow a testing of this. So this wasn't just some random person on the street calling me a Nazi. It wasn't some YouTuber. It wasn't even a journalist, you know, because, you know, our media companies have endless pockets and it's hard to sue them. This was 4 leaders of one half of the political power in Australia. They did a 15-page dossier. They all signed it with their names. They stamped it with the seal of the Liberal Party, and then they distributed it to the media. So it gave weight and authority to these accusations that had not been even gone through any kind of investigation process. And so I am going to challenge it 100%. The only legal avenue I have is defamation, so that's what I'm going to use.
Fantastic.